Hey guys, if you're watching me for the first time, you need to know everything I say is true. And if you don't agree, you're an imbecile. Want me to prove it? Oh, that was rhetorical. Hey guys, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, and those of you who've joined my movement to become PC-free have committed to expose PC culture, expose fake news, fake philosophy, fake outrage, and fake feelings. So let's begin another lesson in how one goes about aborting political correctness in order to win back free speech in America. Now, you must train yourself to recognize the techniques used to steal your freedom, expose them, and counter-strike. And I'm going to be giving you more weapons to accomplish this over time, so stay tuned to my show and use them when necessary, which pretty much means every day now. But today's a great way to prime the pump, as it were, in beginning the war. First technique used to steal your freedom and own your autonomy, it's called insults instead of information. But how does it work? It's nefarious. You give an opinion, and then you're insulted. Literally. This is one of the most basic philosophical flaws known as the ad-hominem attack. It works like this. If I can't win the argument with facts, I'll simply insult you instead of your position. Listen, we all know this is happening, but what are you doing to stop it? Okay, when it happens to you, do you defend yourself or do you acquiesce? Here's a easy hot button example. You say, I believe America, like all nations in history, has a sovereign right and necessity to control who comes in and out of its borders. Okay, seems like a rational idea, doesn't it? I mean, no one's referring to anyone's country of origin or their ethnic heritage or just saying one of the principles of freedom is private property. Okay, the United States is full of private property. Property within its borders is mainly owned by private citizens, with portions of each state owned by the federal government as a whole. And lest you've forgotten, you are the government. So in a real sense, the Grand Canyon is your summer getaway. With the added bonus, you don't have to mow it. So you need to look at the nation as a whole like you do your own private property. I need to assess who's coming in and out of the country. And so anyone that wants in, you're welcome. Come on in. Just knock first, so I know who you are. We're asking you to honor our country the same way we would expect you to honor our home. Just come through the front door, not the window. Someone's sneaking into your home uninvited. You don't care what color they come in. You don't care what city or state they're from. You only care they're coming in without permission. Any country that isn't allowed to expect control of who enters and to expect certain behavior in conformity of its traditions by those entering, especially if they want to become citizens of that country, will very soon become a non-country. I mean, I'm German by ancestry. If suddenly Germans began coming into this country without permission and then demanded I begin to subsidize their lifestyle, my guess is, I don't know, I might resent these folks, no matter how well they rocked the accordion. So, how do you combat insult over information? Okay, one revolutionary technique is to simply respond with this magical ancient phrase that comes from fairies and has such inherent power, it's frightening. So use it wisely, for good and not evil. Ready? Someone says to you, "You're a racist," and you say, "Prove it." Now you're going to have to give them some time to let this sink in. Believe it or not, leftists believe in magic. They've been trained that whenever they call you a name, it becomes true, simply because they want it to be. Plus, gives them permission to engage in hatred and animosity towards you. Thus, if someone calls you a racist because you believe a nation's borders are sovereign and you don't take the offensive, then they don't have to, 1, prove they're right, 2, engage in dialogue, and 3, expose that their point of view would lead to anarchy, which it does. So please keep in mind that the left will always use terminology directed at their enemies that uses moral language that expects a moral behavior. That's why you will hear racist, bigot, phobic, inequality, hate, lacking compassion. Does any human being want to be any of those things? Of course not. Thus, to be pejoratively accused of such behavior puts the accused on the defensive, and that person normally responds with first wanting to distance themselves from the accusation, and they begin to try to defend themselves from the charge, which makes them appear to be running from the reality as opposed to confronting and demanding a retraction and an apology. Remember, this technique, if someone calls you a name, you're under no obligation to defend yourself. They slandered you. So it's incumbent on them to prove the accusation is true. Demand it. And then watch the fun as they short circuit right in front of you. Remember, the left also hates God, doesn't believe in him, so they've replaced the truth of God with their man-made religion of political correctness. So what have we learned today? Political correctness is the religion of the left. The sooner you realize that, the easier it will be to understand why confronting it will be taken very personally. Don't attack them, confront their ideas. When you're called a name, always ask for clarification and proof. Make them prove their point is true. You don't have to prove anything. If they can't prove their slander is true, demand an apology. If they don't, you can point out that they're uncivil and destructive to our culture. Lastly, subscribe to my YouTube channel so the show and information can reach the masses and I can eventually get paid. Sorry. Must be time for an episode on capitalism. This is God's Comic Brad Stine. Now remember, folks, PC free is liberty. Folks, as I said to you from the beginning, I didn't want this to be just another show telling like-minded people what they already believe. It's a proactive movement to inculcate oneself into culture with the agenda of restoring freedom and sanity back to this nation. How does it work? Go to my YouTube channel, Stine Has Issues. Subscribe, share, do it immediately, or you will be insulted by your inability to help me make a living and to educate you. Quick, do it now. I'm watching.